I pulled into my driveway after spending the weekend at my sister's place across town, and my heart dropped. The garage door stood wide open, and my silver Honda Accord was gone. Just gone. Before I could even process what I was seeing, my daughter-in-law Jessica walked out with the brightest smile on her face. "Mother-in-law, we sold your car. You don't even use it anymore." She looked so proud of herself. I stared at her for a long moment, feeling ice run through my veins, and replied calmly, "Good. Now there's room for when I kick you out of my house." That smile froze on her face so fast. The color drained from Jessica's face, but she recovered quickly. She let out this nervous little laugh, like I had just made a joke she didn't quite understand. "You're not serious, Mother Erma," she said, using that syrupy sweet voice she always put on when she wanted something. "We needed the money for family expenses. You only drove that car maybe twice in the last 6 months. It was just sitting there." I walked past her into my own house, my house that I had lived in for 30 years, and set my overnight bag down in the foyer. My hands were shaking, but I kept my voice steady. "Where is Tyler?" "He's at work, but he'll be home soon. He can explain everything." Jessica followed me into the kitchen, her heels clicking on the tile floor I had picked out myself back in 1995. "Really? We thought you'd be happy. Less to worry about. Less maintenance. You know, at your age, you shouldn't be driving so much anyway." At my age, I was 63 years old, in perfect health, with a clean driving record spanning 4 decades. But Jessica had this way of making everything sound reasonable while being completely outrageous. "How much did you get for it?" I asked. $8,500. Which was really good because the car had some miles on it. She opened my refrigerator and pulled out a bottle of water like she owned the place. My car was worth at least $12,000. I had looked it up just 3 months ago when I was considering trading it in. "Where's the money?" Jessica took a long sip of water. "We used it for a vacation. Tyler and I really needed to get away. We've been so stressed." The words hit me like a physical blow. They had already spent my money, on a vacation, without asking me, without even telling me they were selling my car. I heard the front door open, and Tyler's voice called out, "I'm home." He walked into the kitchen, loosening his tie, and stopped when he saw my face. "Mom, you're back early. Your wife just told me you sold my car." Tyler's eyes darted to Jessica, then back to me. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Mom, we were going to talk to you about it, but you were out of town, and the buyer was ready to pay cash right away. Jessica thought it would be a nice surprise, you know, one less thing for you to worry about." "A surprise." I kept my voice level. "You sold my property without my permission and spent the money on a vacation. That's theft, Tyler." "Mom, come on." Tyler set his briefcase down and rubbed his forehead. "It's not like that. You're family. We're all family here." Jessica was just trying to help. Jessica moved closer to Tyler, and I watched her transform. Her eyes got wider, her voice softer. "I was only thinking of you, Mother Erma. The car was just sitting there, and we thought the money could be better used. Tyler's been working so hard, and we just wanted a few days away. We went to that bed and breakfast in Vermont you mentioned once. I thought you'd approve." She was lying. I had never mentioned any bed and breakfast in Vermont, but Tyler was nodding along, and I could see I was losing him. "I want to see the paperwork," I said. "The bill of sale." Jessica's smile tightened just a fraction. "Of course. It's in our room. I'll get it for you after dinner. Are you hungry?" I made pot roast. She had made pot roast in my kitchen, with my groceries, and sold my car. I wanted to scream, but I had learned over my 63 years that losing your temper only makes you look like the problem. "I'm not hungry. I'll be in my room." As I turned to leave, Jessica called out, "Oh, Mother Erma, I've been meaning to tell you. I canceled those 2 credit cards you had. The ones you weren't using. It just seemed like unnecessary credit at your age, you know. Better to keep things simple." I stopped in the doorway. "You did what?" "I canceled your Visa and your MasterCard. The ones from First National and Chase. You hadn't used them in months, and I read that having too many open credit lines can be confusing for people as they get older. I was just helping simplify your finances." My heart started pounding. Those were my emergency cards, kept for security. How did you cancel my credit cards? Oh, I've been helping you with your mail for a while now. You know, making sure bills get paid on time and everything. I just called the companies and explained you wanted to close the accounts. They were very understanding. Tyler put his hand on Jessica's shoulder. Mom, she was just trying to help. You don't need all those cards anyway. I looked at my son, my firstborn, the boy I had raised by myself after his father died, and I barely recognized him. Tyler, can we talk privately? Mom, there are no secrets in this family, Jessica said quickly. Whatever you need to say, you can say in front of me. I walked to my bedroom and closed the door. My hands were shaking as I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. It took me 3 tries to type in my password correctly. I pulled up my bank account and started going through my statements. The mail redirection. Jessica had mentioned helping with my mail. I opened my email and searched for notifications from the post office. There it was. 3 months ago, a change of address form had been filed, redirecting my mail to Tyler and Jessica's joint email address. I had never authorized that. I pulled up my credit card statements next. The 2 cards Jessica had canceled showed 0 activity for the past 6 months, but before that, they had been active. Someone had called and told the credit card companies I wanted to close them. I spent the next hour going through my financial records. Small charges appeared on my debit card that I didn't recognize. $200 here, $300 there. Coffee shops and restaurants I had never been to. Online purchases I had never made. I added it up. Over the past 4 months, approximately $2,400 had been withdrawn or charged that I had not authorized. Jessica had my debit card information, or she had made copies of my cards. I sat back in my chair and looked around my bedroom, the furniture I had picked out with my late husband, the photographs of my sons as children, the quilt my mother had made. This was my house, my life, and someone was systematically taking it away from me. I heard voices in the hall. Tyler and Jessica were talking in low tones. I opened my door slightly to listen. She's upset, baby. Maybe we should have waited, Tyler was saying. Tyler, she's getting worse. You saw how she reacted, getting angry over nothing. We did her a favor, and she acts like we stole from her. Jessica's voice was patient, like she was explaining something to a child. I just don't want her to feel like we're taking over. We're not taking over. We're taking care of her. There's a difference. Your mother is 63 years old. She lives alone in this big house. She's starting to forget things. I'm worried about her. I closed my door quietly. Jessica was building a narrative. She was making Tyler believe I was declining, forgetting things, unable to manage my own life. And I had just played right into her hands by getting angry. I needed help. I needed someone outside this situation who could see clearly. I needed my lawyer friend Bernard. I went to my desk drawer, where I kept my address book with all my important contacts. The drawer was empty. I checked the other drawers. My address book was gone. I woke up the next morning with a plan. I would confront Tyler and Jessica with evidence, stay calm, and make them understand what they had done. I printed out my bank statements showing the unauthorized charges. I printed the email showing the mail redirection I had never approved. I was ready. They were in the kitchen having coffee when I came downstairs. The morning sun streamed through the windows, making everything look deceptively normal. Good morning, Mother Erma, Jessica said brightly. I made French toast, your favorite. We need to talk. I set the papers down on the kitchen table. Tyler looked at the printouts and sighed. Mom, what's this? This is proof that Jessica has been redirecting my mail without my permission and making unauthorized charges on my debit card. $2,400 over 4 months. Jessica set down her coffee cup and looked at the papers. Her face was so concerned, so confused. Mother Erma, I set up the mail redirection for your safety. You kept forgetting to pay bills. Look. She stood up and went to a drawer, pulling out a folder. I've been keeping track. Late payment notices from your electric company, your phone company, your credit card. She laid them out on the table. I stared at them. I had never seen these notices before. Because I had never missed a payment. I've never missed a bill payment in my life, I said. That's what worries us, Mom. Tyler picked up one of the notices. You don't even remember forgetting. That's concerning. I felt like the ground was shifting under my feet. These are fake. Or you deliberately caused them by redirecting my mail so I never got the original bills. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. Why would I do that? I've been trying to help you. I pay your bills now so this doesn't happen. I've been protecting your credit score. What about the charges? The money missing from my account? Those are from me buying groceries for this house, Mother Erma. And handling expenses. You asked me to help, remember? Last Christmas. You said you wanted me to take over more of the household management because it was getting to be too much. I had never said that. Never. But Tyler was nodding, and I could see doubt in his eyes. Doubt about me. Mom, have you been feeling confused lately? More forgetful? Tyler asked gently. No, I'm not confused. I'm being stolen from. Jessica reached across the table like she wanted to take my hand. I pulled away, her face crumpled. I'm just trying to help. I know this is hard to accept, but you're not as sharp as you used to be. And that's okay. That's why we're here. To take care of you. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. I'm calling the police. Mom, wait. Tyler stood too. Let's just talk about this. But I was already dialing. The operator answered, and I explained that my car had been sold without my permission. She transferred me to an officer. I explained the situation again. Officer Martinez listened patiently. Ma'am, this sounds like a civil matter between family members. Do you have documentation showing you did not consent to the sale? I was out of town. I never gave permission. Can I speak to your son, please? I handed the phone to Tyler, my hands shaking. I watched his face as he talked to the officer. He nodded. He went to the living room and came back with papers. Yes, officer. I have the documentation right here. My mother signed the title over to me 6 months ago, making me the legal owner. Then, I sold the car. It was legally mine to sell. My blood went cold. That's not true. Tyler showed me the document. There was my signature on a title transfer form, dated 6 months ago, but I had never signed it. I had never even seen this form. The officer's voice came through the phone, tinny and distant. Tyler listened, then hung up. The officer says this is a civil matter. If you believe the signature is forged, you need to take it up with a lawyer, not the police. Jessica was watching me, with something in her eyes I had never seen before. Something cold. Mother Erma, you signed that form when we all had dinner together for your birthday. You don't remember, do you? I never signed that. You did. Tyler and I both witnessed it. You said you wanted to simplify your life. She looked at Tyler. This is getting worse, honey. I looked at my son, and I saw that she had won this round. He believed her. I went back to my room and tried to think clearly. I needed Bernard. I found his number in my phone's old contacts and called him. He answered on the 3rd ring. Bernard, it's Erma. I need your help. Something terrible is happening. We talked for 20 minutes. I explained everything. Bernard was silent for a long moment. Erma, this is serious. These are classic signs of elder financial abuse. But you said they have a document with your signature? It's forged. I never signed it. Can you prove it's forged? I couldn't. That was the problem. What do I do? Let me make some calls. Can you meet me tomorrow at my office? 10 o'clock? Yes. Thank you, Bernard. After we hung up, I felt a tiny bit better. I had an ally. I went downstairs to get some water and heard voices in the living room. Through the doorway, I saw Tyler on his phone. Preston, it's Tyler. Look, I need to talk to you about Mom. Pause. No, it's getting bad. She's accusing Jessica of stealing from her. She doesn't remember signing documents. She got really angry about the car. Another pause. I think you should come visit. I think Mom needs help that we can't give her alone. My younger son Preston lived in Arizona. Tyler was calling him to tell him I was losing my mind. I walked into the living room. Give me the phone. Tyler looked startled. Mom, I'm just talking to Preston. I know what you're doing. You're telling him I'm incompetent. I'm telling him I'm worried about you. Tyler's voice was strained. Preston, can I call you back? He hung up. Mom, please sit down. Let's talk about this calmly. There's nothing to talk about. Your wife is manipulating you. and you can't even see it. The front door opened, and Jessica came in carrying shopping bags. I'm back. I got those groceries you needed, Mother Erma. She looked at our faces. What's wrong? Nothing, Tyler said quickly. Everything's fine. But everything was not fine, and it was about to get worse. The next morning, I got ready to meet Bernard. I was walking to my car when Jessica appeared. Where are you going, Mother Erma? Out. Do you need someone to drive you? I'm free. I can drive myself. I still had my other car, an older Toyota I kept for errands. Are you sure that's safe? After everything that's been happening? Her voice was so caring, so concerned, but her eyes were calculating. I got in my car and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw Jessica on her phone. When I got to Bernard's office, there was a car I didn't recognize in the parking lot. I walked inside, and the receptionist smiled at me. Mrs. Morrison, please have a seat. Mr. Walsh will be right with you. I had been coming to Bernard's office for 15 years. The receptionist had never asked me to wait before. Bernard came out looking uncomfortable. Erma, come in. We need to talk. I followed him into his office. What's wrong? I got a call this morning from an attorney named Nathan Cole. He represents your daughter-in-law. He informed me that a petition has been filed suggesting you may need a conservatorship due to concerns about your ability to manage your affairs. The room tilted. What? It's preliminary. There's a hearing scheduled in 3 weeks. But Erma, this is serious. If a judge appoints a conservator, you could lose control of your finances, your property, even your medical decisions. On what basis? Bernard pulled out a folder. According to the petition, there's documentation of missed bill payments, erratic behavior, memory issues, and concerning financial decisions. There are statements from your son and daughter-in-law. This is insane. I'm perfectly competent. I know you are. But they've been building a case. This has been planned. I thought about Jessica's words. The car sale, the canceled credit cards, the redirected mail, the late payment notices she had somehow created. It had all been deliberate. She had been setting this up for months. What do I do? We fight. We gather evidence that you're fully capable. Medical records, testimony from friends, financial records showing you're managing fine. But Erma, you need to be prepared. This is going to be difficult. I drove home in a daze. When I got there, Preston's rental car was in the driveway. My younger son had flown in from Arizona. I walked in to find Tyler, Jessica, and Preston sitting in my living room. It looked like an intervention. Mom, Preston stood up. He looked uncomfortable. We need to talk. Tyler called you. He's worried about you. We all are. I looked at my 2 sons, the boys I had raised, and I barely recognized them. Jessica sat between them, her face a mask of concern. Please sit down, Mother Erma, she said gently. This is my house. I'll stand if I want to. Preston and Tyler exchanged glances. Mom, we've been talking, Tyler said. We think you need help. More help than we can give you here. What kind of help? We think you should consider letting Tyler manage your finances, Jessica said. Just until things settle down. We've brought paperwork, power of attorney documents. It would make everything so much easier. She pulled out forms and set them on the coffee table. I looked at the documents and felt sick. If I signed these, Tyler would have control of everything, and Tyler did whatever Jessica told him to do. No. Mom, please, Preston said. Just look at them. We're your family. We want what's best for you. If you want what's best for me, you'll leave me alone. See? Jessica said quietly. This is what I was talking about. The anger, the paranoia. She thinks we're trying to hurt her when we're trying to help. I'm not paranoid. You're stealing from me. Tyler rubbed his face. Mom, Jessica showed us the receipts. The groceries, the household expenses. That's where the money went. You asked her to handle things, and now you're accusing her of theft. I never asked her to handle anything. You don't remember, Jessica said sadly. That's the problem. The argument went on for 2 hours. In the end, I refused to sign anything. Preston looked disappointed. Tyler looked worried. Jessica looked calculating. After Preston left to go to his hotel, I went to my room. I was exhausted, defeated. They had turned my own children against me. I looked around my bedroom, and something felt wrong. I opened my closet. Some of my clothes were missing. I checked my office. Papers were gone. Important documents. My marriage certificate. My mortgage payoff papers. My insurance policies. I found Jessica in the kitchen. Where are my documents? I put them somewhere safe, Mother Erma. You kept moving them around, and I was worried they'd get lost. Don't worry. I know exactly where they are. Give them back. When things settle down. Right now, you're too upset. I don't want anything to get damaged. She had stolen my important papers. And there was nothing I could do about it. That night, lying in bed in my own house, I felt like a prisoner. The conservatorship hearing was in 3 weeks. Bernard told me to gather character witnesses, medical records, anything that would prove I was competent and capable. But every time I tried, Jessica was one step ahead of me. I called my friend Dorothy to ask if she'd testify. Dorothy sounded confused on the phone. Testify about what, Erma? Jessica told me you've been having a hard time lately. She said you missed our lunch date last month. What lunch date? The one we had scheduled. Remember? You never showed up. I was worried, but Jessica called and said you'd forgotten. I had never scheduled a lunch with Dorothy, but Jessica had created the story, told Dorothy I forgot, and now it was evidence of my decline. I tried to get my medical records from my doctor. The office said there was a note in my file from my family requesting any records be sent to them as well for my safety. Jessica's manipulation had spread everywhere. The 3 weeks passed in a nightmare. Jessica and Tyler walked around my house like they owned it. They moved more of their belongings in. They took over the master bedroom, claiming it was better for them since they were taking care of things. I was moved to the smaller guest bedroom. Finally, the hearing day arrived. I dressed carefully in my best suit. Bernard picked me up, and we drove to the courthouse. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. The judge was a woman in her 50s named Judge Patterson. Jessica and Tyler sat with their attorney, Nathan Cole. He looked slick and confident. Nathan presented their case first. He had documentation. So much documentation. Photos of my house looking messy. I knew Jessica had created that mess. Statements from neighbors saying they were worried about me. Neighbors Jessica had carefully spoken to first. Medical records showing I had missed 3 doctor's appointments in the past 6 months. Appointments I had never made, or that Jessica had canceled without telling me. Tyler testified. He looked miserable, but he said what Jessica had coached him to say, that I was forgetting things, getting confused, that he was worried I couldn't live alone safely. Preston testified by video call from Arizona. He said he had seen concerning signs, that I had seemed paranoid and accusatory, that I didn't recognize normal help from family. Then Jessica testified. She was perfect, concerned, loving, patient. She described coming to live with me to help, finding bills unpaid, the house in disarray, me forgetting conversations. She even had a journal she claimed to have kept, documenting my episodes. I sat there listening to them destroy me with lies built on tiny truths and complete fabrications. Then it was our turn. Bernard presented our counter evidence. My bank statements showing I had managed my finances perfectly for decades, letters from friends supporting me, my clean driving record. But I could see the judge was troubled. The volume of documentation against me was overwhelming. In the end, Judge Patterson didn't grant the conservatorship. But she didn't dismiss it either. I'm ordering a professional evaluation of Mrs. Morrison's competency. I'm appointing Dr. Sarah Chen to conduct a thorough assessment. Additionally, I'm placing temporary financial restrictions. Any transaction over $1,000 must be co-signed by Tyler Morrison until this evaluation is complete. Bernard tried to argue, but the judge was firm. The hearing was adjourned. I walked out of that courtroom partially under my son's control. Jessica had won a partial victory. It could have been worse, Bernard said in the parking lot. We still have a chance with the evaluation, but I knew Jessica would find a way to sabotage that too. When I got home, Jessica was there with moving boxes. I thought I'd help you organize, Mother Erma. The evaluator will be coming by, and we want the house to look nice. She was taking over more of my space. Moving things, rearranging. erasing me from my own home. That evening, Tyler pulled me aside. "Mom, please. Jessica's just trying to help. If you'd just work with us, this would all be so much easier." "Work with you?" "Tyler. She's stealing from me. She's manipulating you. She loves me, Mom. We're married. We're a team. She's using you to get to my house? And my money?" Tyler's face hardened. "You know what? Maybe Jessica's right. Maybe you are getting paranoid. You used to be so happy when we got married. Now you act like she's some kind of villain. Because she is." He walked away. I had lost my son. The next few days were torture. Jessica was always there, always watching. She unpacked more boxes. Tyler's clothes filled what used to be my closet. Their furniture replaced mine in the living room. My house was becoming theirs. I tried to access my bank account online to pay a bill. It was blocked. Any transaction over $1,000 needed Tyler's approval. The electric bill was $1,200 because I had turned up the heat. I had to ask my son for permission to pay my own utility bill. He approved it, but the humiliation burned. Dr. Chen called to schedule the home evaluation. She would come in 5 days. Jessica began preparing immediately. She deep cleaned the house. She put out fresh flowers. She organized my medications in a pill container. She was creating the perfect tableau of a daughter-in-law, taking care of her declining mother-in-law. Preston called that night. "Mom, I've been thinking about everything. I'm coming back next month. I think we need to have a serious family discussion about your living situation." "My living situation?" "Preston, this is my house." "I know, Mom, but maybe it's too much for you to handle alone. Have you thought about assisted living? There are really nice places." Jessica had gotten to Preston too. She had convinced both my sons that I was declining, that I needed to be institutionalized. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in the guest bedroom of my own house and stared at the ceiling. I was 63 years old, in perfect health, fully competent, and I was losing everything. My car. My financial freedom. My home. My children. The next morning, I came downstairs to find Jessica making breakfast. She smiled at me. "Good morning, Mother Erma. How did you sleep?" I ignored her and poured coffee. "I've been thinking," Jessica said, flipping pancakes. "After the evaluation, when things settle down, maybe we should talk about putting the house in Tyler's name. You could still live here, of course, but it would simplify estate planning, and if something happened to you, Tyler wouldn't have to deal with probate." She was asking me to sign over my house. "No. Just think about it. Tyler's your son. It's going to be his eventually anyway. Why not make it easier?" "Because it's mine. My husband and I bought this house. We raised our children here. He died in the bedroom upstairs. This house is all I have left of him." Something flickered in Jessica's eyes. Something cold and calculating. "Well, times change, Mother Erma. Sometimes we have to let go of the past." She set a plate of pancakes in front of me. They looked perfect. Golden brown. Buttered just right. Made in my kitchen, with my food, by a woman who was systematically taking my life apart. I looked at her, and for the first time, I saw what she really was. Not misguided, not overly helpful, not confused about boundaries. She was a predator. She had targeted me from the moment she married my son. This had always been the plan, and I was running out of time to stop her. Tyler cornered me in the kitchen 2 days before the evaluation. He looked nervous, kept glancing at the doorway where Jessica was pretending not to listen. "Mom, I need to talk to you about the house." "No, you haven't even heard what I'm going to say. You're going to tell me the house needs repairs, that I should refinance or take out a home equity loan, that I should put your name on the deed. The answer is no." Tyler blinked. "How did you know?" "Because I'm not losing my mind, Tyler. I know exactly what's happening." Jessica walked in then, like she'd been waiting for her cue. "Mother Erma, we're just concerned. The roof has that leak in the back bedroom. The plumbing in the downstairs bathroom is old. The electrical panel should be upgraded. These are serious issues. I have money saved for repairs." "Do you?" Jessica tilted her head. "Because Tyler and I have been looking at your finances, and we're not sure you have enough in savings to cover major work." That was a lie. I had $60,000 in savings. But then I remembered the restrictions. I couldn't access my own accounts without Tyler's approval. The house is paid off, I said firmly. I'm not taking out a loan on a property I own free and clear. What about a reverse mortgage? Jessica suggested. That way you'd have access to funds without monthly payments. It's perfect for someone your age. I stared at her. A reverse mortgage. She wanted me to borrow against my house, and when I died, the bank would take the property to recover the loan. Tyler would get nothing. This wasn't about helping me or even helping Tyler. This was about something else. Absolutely not. Jessica's expression shifted. The concerned mask fell away, and for a moment, I saw raw anger. You're being unreasonable. Tyler's trying to help you maintain your home, and you won't even listen. This house is mine. I've maintained it perfectly well for 30 years. I don't need your help. Can't you see? Jessica's voice rose. You can't maintain it anymore. You're too old, too confused, too stubborn to see that you need help. Tyler put his hand on her arm. Jess, calm down. No, I'm tired of pretending. Your mother is impossible. She won't accept help. She won't accept reality. Maybe she doesn't deserve to live in this house, if she can't even take care of it properly. The room went silent. Tyler looked shocked. Jessica realized she'd gone too far and tried to recover. I'm sorry. I'm just worried. I'm stressed. The baby and everything. She put her hand on her stomach. I went cold. What baby? Jessica looked at Tyler, and something passed between them. I was going to tell you tonight, Mother Erma. I'm pregnant. Tyler and I are having a baby. Tyler's face lit up. He hugged Jessica. We found out yesterday. I watched them embrace, and all I could think was that this was another manipulation. Another tool Jessica was using. But I had no proof. And even if I was right, Tyler would never believe me now. Later that day, my phone rang. It was my bank's fraud department. Mrs. Morrison, we're calling about a reverse mortgage application submitted in your name. There are some inconsistencies we need to verify. My blood ran cold. I didn't apply for a reverse mortgage. The application has your signature and includes your financial information. Can you come into the branch to verify? I'll be there tomorrow morning. I hung up and sat down, my hands shaking. Jessica had already tried to apply for a reverse mortgage. She had forged my signature. I needed to tell Tyler. I found him in the garage. Tyler, Jessica forged my signature on a reverse mortgage application. What? Mom, that's crazy. The bank called me. They flagged it as suspicious. There must be some mistake. Maybe you applied and forgot. I did not forget. Mom, please. Tyler looked exhausted. Can we not do this right now? Jessica just told me we're having a baby. This should be a happy time. Your wife is committing fraud. Or you're confused and scared and lashing out at the closest person. Mom, I love you, but you need to stop attacking Jessica. She's done nothing but try to help you. I walked away before I said something I'd regret. The next morning, I went to the bank. They showed me the application. It had my signature, perfectly forged. It had my financial information, which Jessica had accessed through the mail redirection. The bank had rejected it because the address on file didn't match the application, but they were required to report the attempted fraud. We've documented this, Mrs. Morrison. If you want to file a police report, we'll support it. I thought about it, but filing a police report against Jessica would be seen as more evidence of my paranoia. The evaluation was in 2 days. I couldn't do anything that would make me look unstable. Thank you. I'll handle it. I drove home planning what to say to Bernard. We had evidence now. Attempted fraud. This could change everything. But when I got home, there was an ambulance in my driveway. I ran inside. Jessica was on the couch, crying. Tyler was pacing. A paramedic was checking her blood pressure. What happened? She had chest pains, Tyler said. We called 911. The paramedic looked at me. Are you the mother-in-law? Yes. Your daughter-in-law is having an anxiety attack. Her blood pressure is elevated. We're recommending she go to the ER to rule out anything serious. Jessica looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I'm so stressed, Mother Erma. All the fighting. It's not good for the baby. The paramedic's expression shifted. You're pregnant? Yes, 8 weeks. Then we definitely need to take you in. Stress during pregnancy can be dangerous. They loaded Jessica into the ambulance. Tyler went with her. Before he left, he looked at me. "Mom, this has to stop. You're going to make her lose the baby." The ambulance drove away, and I stood in my driveway feeling like the villain in my own life. But I remembered what the paramedic said. Anxiety attack, not a real medical emergency. Jessica had manufactured this crisis right after I discovered the fraud. She was always one step ahead. I called Bernard and told him about the reverse mortgage application. He was excited. "This is evidence of fraud, Erma. This changes things. Bring the bank documentation to me tomorrow." But when I went to get the documents from my purse, they were gone. I searched everywhere. They had vanished. Tyler and Jessica came home from the hospital that evening. Jessica looked pale and dramatic. Tyler was hovering over her like she might break. "The doctor said she needs complete rest," Tyler informed me. "No stress, no arguments, nothing that could endanger the baby." "Tyler, I need to talk to you about something important." "Not now, Mom. Please, just give us some peace." I went to my bedroom, the guest bedroom that used to be my sewing room. I sat on the bed and cried for the first time since this nightmare began. The next morning, I found Tyler in the kitchen. "Where are the documents from the bank? The ones about the fraud?" "What documents?" "They were in my purse. Someone took them." Tyler sighed. "Mom, maybe you misplaced them. Or maybe they were never there." "They were there. The bank gave them to me. I'll call the bank and check." "But Mom, you need to calm down. You're going to make yourself sick." He didn't call the bank. I knew he wouldn't. Dr. Chen came the next day for the evaluation. She was in her 40s, professional, with kind eyes. Jessica greeted her warmly, showed her around the house. The house was spotless, organized. Perfect. Dr. Chen interviewed me for 2 hours. She asked about my daily routine, my memories, my ability to manage finances. She gave me cognitive tests. I knew I was doing well. But then she asked to speak with Tyler and Jessica. I wasn't allowed to be present. They talked for an hour. When Dr. Chen left, she told me she'd submit her report to the court within a week. I tried to feel hopeful. I had done well on the tests. I had answered everything clearly and confidently. But Jessica was smiling, and that terrified me. That night, I packed a bag. Just essentials. Clothes, toiletries, important papers I had managed to hide. I was leaving tomorrow to stay with my sister Margaret. I couldn't stay in this house anymore. It wasn't mine anymore. Tyler found me packing. "Mom, what are you doing?" "I'm leaving. I'm going to stay with Margaret." "You can't leave. The evaluation isn't done. I can do whatever I want. This is still my house." Jessica appeared in the doorway. "Mother Erma, if you leave now, it will look very bad. Like you're unstable, unable to commit to the process. It could hurt your case." "I don't care. I'm not staying here." "Fine." Jessica's voice went flat. "Leave. But when you come back, things will be different." I looked at her, and I knew she was threatening me. But I couldn't stay. Not one more night. I called Margaret. She said to come immediately. I loaded my bag in my car and drove away from my house, watching it disappear in the rearview mirror. I didn't know if I'd ever get it back. I stayed with Margaret for 3 days. She lived 2 hours away in a small condo near the lake. She was horrified by everything that had happened. "You should have called me sooner," she said. "You shouldn't have dealt with this alone. I thought I could handle it." "Erma, you need help. Real help. This Jessica sounds dangerous." On the second day, Margaret and I made a plan. We needed evidence, real evidence that couldn't be dismissed or hidden. "She left her laptop at the house, right?" Margaret asked. "She's always on it." "She must have brought it." "No, I mean before. Did you ever see her leave it unattended?" I thought back. "Yes. She leaves it in the kitchen sometimes when she's doing other things." "Then we need to look at it. If she's done this before, there might be evidence." "That's breaking her privacy. She broke yours when she stole from you." Fight fire with fire, Erma. We drove back to my house the next day. Tyler's car wasn't there. Jessica's car was in the driveway. Margaret waited in her car while I went inside with my key. Jessica was upstairs. I could hear her moving around. On the kitchen counter sat her laptop, open and unlocked. My heart pounded as I sat down in front of it. I knew this was risky, but I was desperate. I opened her email. The first folder I saw was labeled Projects. I clicked it. There were dozens of emails. I scrolled through, my hands shaking. One email chain with someone named Garrett caught my eye. I opened it. The emails were from 5 years ago. Garrett was talking about his mother, about how Jessica had helped her, about how his mother's finances had gotten complicated, about how they had to sell his mother's house to pay for her care. Then an email from last year. Garrett had discovered something. He was angry. He accused Jessica of manipulating his mother, of stealing from her, of causing her decline deliberately. Jessica's response was cold. She said he was being dramatic, that his mother had been failing anyway, that she had simply helped facilitate necessary changes. The last email from Garrett said he wanted a divorce and never wanted to see her again. Jessica had done this before. She had targeted Garrett's mother, stolen from her, destroyed her, and walked away when caught. I kept searching. There were more emails. To someone named Nathan Cole, the attorney. They were discussing strategy, how to build a case for conservatorship, which documents to create, how to manufacture evidence of decline. There was a spreadsheet. It tracked my assets. My house was worth $380,000. My savings, my retirement accounts, my life insurance policy, everything I owned. With notes about how to access it. There was a timeline. Jessica expected to have full control within 6 months. The car sale was marked as Phase 1 complete. I took photos of everything with my phone. Email after email, the spreadsheet, the timeline. Evidence that this was premeditated fraud. I heard footsteps on the stairs. I closed the laptop and stood up just as Jessica walked into the kitchen. Mother Erma, I didn't know you were here. I came to get some things. She looked at the laptop, then at me. Were you using my computer? No. You're lying. I can see it in your face. She moved toward me. What did you see? Nothing. You went through my emails, didn't you? You invaded my privacy. Tyler's car pulled into the driveway. He came in through the garage door. What's going on? Your mother broke into my computer. Jessica's voice was high and panicked. She hacked my laptop and went through my private files. I didn't hack anything. It was sitting open. So you admit you looked through my personal emails? Jessica turned to Tyler. This is what I'm talking about. She's paranoid. She's acting crazy. She broke into my computer to try to find something to use against me. Tyler looked at me. Mom, did you go through Jessica's computer? Yes, because I found proof that she's done this before. She targeted her ex-husband's mother the same way. She stole from her. This is a pattern. That's absurd, Jessica cried. My ex-husband's mother had dementia. I helped take care of her. His family was grateful. Then why did Garrett divorce you? Jessica's face went pale. How do you know about Garrett? I saw the emails. Those emails are private. You had no right. Jessica turned to Tyler, tears streaming down her face. She's making up lies about my past to try to discredit me. She's desperate because she knows she's losing control. Tyler looked between us. Mom, you can't just go through someone's private emails. Tyler, she's running a con. I have proof. Where's this proof? I pulled out my phone. I opened my photos, but the photos were gone. All of them. The folder was empty. They were here. I took pictures of everything. Jessica was crying into Tyler's shoulder. She's having delusions now, seeing things that aren't there. Tyler, I'm scared. What if she does something dangerous? Mom, I think you should leave. Tyler's voice was firm. This is my house, and you're not acting rationally. Please just go back to Aunt Margaret's. Let things cool down. I looked at my phone. The photos were gone. Jessica must have some kind of remote access. She had deleted them while I was standing here. She deleted the evidence, I said, but I could hear how crazy it sounded. Margaret was waiting in the car. She saw my face and knew it had gone wrong. But then, Jessica called Tyler's name from inside the house. Her voice was different, urgent. We rushed back inside. Jessica was bent over, holding her stomach. Tyler, something's wrong. The baby. Tyler went white. We need to get you to the hospital. It's the stress. She caused this. Jessica pointed at me. Tyler helped her to the car. He looked at me with something I'd never seen in his eyes before. Hatred. They drove away, leaving me standing in my own driveway. Margaret came inside. What happened? She's either really in trouble or she's faking it. I can't tell anymore. Either way, I'm being blamed. We left. There was nothing else to do. The next day, Tyler called. The baby's fine. It was just stress. But the doctor said, Jessica needs complete rest. She needs a calm environment. Mom, you can't come back here. Not while she's pregnant. I won't risk my child. Tyler, she's manipulating you. No, Mom. You're the one who's out of control. You broke into Jessica's computer. You're making wild accusations. You're causing stress that could kill my baby. I can't let you near Jessica right now. Tyler, please listen to me. I have to go. Jessica needs me. He hung up. I sat with Margaret in her small kitchen and cried. Not just for my house or my money, for my son, for the relationship we used to have, for the man he used to be before Jessica got her claws in him. There's something else, I said. The emails mentioned Garrett. What if we could find him? Get him to testify about what Jessica did to his mother. Margaret grabbed her laptop. What's his last name? I don't know. But I remember his email address. I wrote it down from memory. Margaret is better with technology than I am. She found him on social media. Garrett Thompson. He lived 3 hours away in New Hampshire. I'll message him, Margaret said. I'll explain who we are and what's happening. She sent the message. We waited. An hour later, Garrett responded. He wants to video call, Margaret said. We set up the call. Garrett appeared on screen. He was in his 40s, tired looking, with gray at his temples. You're dealing with Jessica, he said. It wasn't a question. Yes, she married my son. She's trying to take everything from me. She did the same thing to my mother, got her declared incompetent, sold her house. By the time I realized what was happening, my mother had died. The stress killed her. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Fight. I didn't fight hard enough. I let Jessica get away with it because I couldn't prove anything, but I kept all my documentation, everything I found after the fact. If you're taking her to court, I'll testify. I'll give you everything I have. Hope sparked in my chest. You'd do that? I've been waiting for Jessica to do this again. I knew she would. People like her don't stop. They just find new victims. We talked for an hour. Garrett told me everything. How Jessica had isolated his mother, created evidence of decline, manipulated him into believing his mother needed help. By the time he realized the truth, his mother was in a nursing home, and Jessica had access to everything. There's something else, Garrett said. Jessica's not pregnant. What? She did the same thing with me. Faked a pregnancy to control me. She bought a fake positive test online. When I started questioning things, she claimed she had a miscarriage. I bet if you look, you'll find she's never actually been to a doctor. I felt like I'd been hit by lightning. How do we prove it? Hire a private investigator. Have them follow her to her supposed appointments. I guarantee she's not going to any obstetrician. We said goodbye. Margaret immediately called Bernard and told him everything. This changes things, Bernard said. If we can prove the pregnancy is fake, it destroys Jessica's sympathy angle. And if we have testimony from a previous victim, we have a pattern. Erma, we might actually win this. Over the next week, Margaret and I built our case. Bernard hired a private investigator. We gathered Garrett's documentation from his mother's case. We contacted an expert in elder financial abuse. The PI followed Jessica for 5 days. She went to coffee shops, to the mall, to restaurants, but never to a doctor. On the day she told Tyler she had an appointment, she actually went to a movie theater. The PI got photos of everything. We also discovered something about Nathan Cole, Jessica's attorney. He had multiple ethics complaints filed against him. He specialized in conservatorships for elderly clients. Several families had accused him of facilitating financial abuse. The state bar was investigating him. Bernard filed an emergency motion with all our new evidence. We requested an immediate hearing. Judge Patterson scheduled it for 3 days later. The night before the hearing, I barely slept. This was it. Everything rode on tomorrow. Margaret made me breakfast. You're going to win. I hope so. You will. Jessica picked the wrong target. She didn't expect you to fight back this hard. We drove to the courthouse. Bernard met us outside. Are you ready? As I'll ever be. Good. Because we're not just defending today. We're attacking. Jessica and Nathan Cole are going down. We walked into the courthouse. I saw Tyler in the hallway. He looked terrible, stressed, exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. He saw me and looked away. Jessica arrived wearing a loose dress, her hand on her flat stomach, playing the part of the concerned pregnant woman. But I knew the truth now. We all filed into the courtroom. Judge Patterson took the bench. This is an emergency hearing regarding the conservatorship petition for Erma Morrison, she said. Mr. Walsh, you filed this motion. Proceed. Bernard stood. Your Honor, we have evidence that this entire conservatorship petition is based on fraud. We have evidence that Jessica Morrison has perpetrated a systematic scheme of elder financial abuse. And we have evidence that this is not her first time. He began presenting. The emails I had photographed, which he had subpoenaed directly from Jessica's email provider. The testimony from Garrett via video about his mother. The spreadsheet showing Jessica's premeditated plan to steal my assets. The forged signature on the reverse mortgage application. Then he dropped the biggest bomb. The PI's photos. The evidence that Jessica had never been to a single prenatal appointment. Your Honor, Jessica Morrison claimed to be pregnant to manipulate her husband and gain sympathy. We have medical testimony that she has not seen any obstetrician. This court has been deceived. Tyler's face went white. He looked at Jessica. She was staring straight ahead, her expression frozen. Nathan Cole tried to object, but Judge Patterson cut him off. Miss Morrison, are you or are you not currently pregnant? Jessica's mouth opened, closed, opened again. I was pregnant. I had a miscarriage. Last week. Do you have medical documentation of this miscarriage? Silence. Miss Morrison, answer the question. I handled it at home. It was early. I didn't go to the hospital. So no medical documentation exists proving you were ever pregnant. I have the positive test, which can be faked. Bernard held up a printout. Your Honor, these tests can be purchased online for $15. There is no credible evidence that Jessica Morrison was ever pregnant. Tyler stood up. Is this true? His voice cracked. Jessica, were you lying about the baby? Jessica's mask cracked. Tyler, I can explain. Were you lying? She didn't answer. Tyler walked out of the courtroom. Judge Patterson's face was hard. Bailiff, please have 2 police officers join us. 2 officers entered. The judge looked at Jessica and Nathan Cole. Based on the evidence presented, I am dismissing the conservatorship petition entirely. Furthermore, I am finding probable cause for criminal charges of elder financial abuse, fraud, and forgery. Officers, please take Jessica Morrison and Nathan Cole into custody. The officers moved forward. Jessica started screaming. This isn't fair. That house should be mine. I worked for it. I put up with that ungrateful old woman for 3 years. There it was, her true self, finally visible to everyone. They led her out in handcuffs. Nathan Cole went quietly, already calling his own lawyer. Judge Patterson looked at me. Mrs. Morrison, I apologize for what you've endured. Your property and finances are entirely restored to your control. The court will order full restitution for any funds taken. You are free to return to your home immediately. I started crying. Margaret held my hand. We won. After the hearing, I stood outside the courthouse with Bernard and Margaret. The spring sun felt warm on my face. I had won, but I felt empty. Tyler hadn't come back into the courtroom. I found him sitting on a bench outside, his head in his hands. I sat down next to him. We didn't speak for a long time. I'm sorry, he finally said. His voice was hollow. Mom, I'm so sorry. I believed her. I chose her over you. I almost let her destroy you. She was very good at what she did. That's not an excuse. You're my mother. I should have trusted you. She manipulated you, Tyler. That's what she does. He looked at me with red eyes. How do you forgive something like this? I don't know yet. But you're my son. We'll figure it out. He put his head on my shoulder and cried like he used to when he was a little boy and his father died. Over the next few weeks, Tyler moved out of my house and into an apartment. He filed for divorce from Jessica. She was in jail, held on $500,000 bail for fraud and elder abuse charges. Nathan Cole was also arrested. The state bar suspended his license pending investigation. It turned out he and Jessica had been running this scheme for years, targeting elderly people across 3 states. The police found evidence of 7 other victims. Elderly people who had lost homes, savings, and dignity to Jessica's manipulations. Some had died without ever knowing they'd been conned. My case opened the door for all of them to get justice. Dorothy, Ruth, and Linda, the 3 neighbors Jessica had been targeting, came to see me. Dorothy hugged me tight. "You saved me," she said. I was about to sign papers giving Jessica access to my accounts. "If you hadn't fought back, I'd have lost everything." "We all would have," Ruth added. She had me convinced I was too confused to handle my own finances. We formed a support group. The 4 of us, meeting every week to talk about what we'd been through. To remind each other that we were sharp, capable, and strong. Garrett drove down from New Hampshire to attend Jessica's trial. He testified about what happened to his mother. His testimony was powerful. The jury was in tears. Jessica was convicted on 14 counts of fraud, elder abuse, and forgery. She was sentenced to 12 years in prison. When the verdict was read, I felt something release in my chest. It was over. Really over. Tyler slowly worked on rebuilding our relationship. He went to therapy. He attended our family dinners. He apologized 1,000 times. "How did I not see it?" he asked one evening. "How was I so blind?" "Love makes us vulnerable," I said. She knew that and exploited it. Preston flew in from Arizona. He apologized too. We had a long talk about trust in family, about not always believing the worst of people, but also about listening when someone you love says they need help. "I should have believed you," Preston said. "You've never lied to us. You've never been dramatic or paranoid. When you said something was wrong, I should have listened." The legal restitution came through. Jessica's assets were seized, and I recovered the $8,500 from my car, the $2,400 from the unauthorized charges and damages. The court ordered her to pay more, but she had no money. I would never see most of it. But I got something better. I got my house back, my independence, my dignity. One morning, 6 months after the trial, I went to the car dealership where Jessica had sold my Honda. The owner recognized me from the news coverage. "Mrs. Morrison, I'm glad you came by. Your car is still here. We never sold it. When we saw the news about the fraud case, we pulled it from the lot. It's yours if you want it back." I almost cried. I paid the impound fees and drove my car home. It felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Tyler helped me change all my locks. We updated my security system. We set up new financial protections so no one could access my accounts without my direct approval. "I'm proud of you, Mom," Tyler said as we finished. "You fought back. You didn't give up. You saved yourself and helped other people too." I had help. Margaret, Bernard, Garrett, I couldn't have done it alone. But you did do it. A lot of people would have given up. I looked at my son. This man I had raised, who had betrayed me and come back. Our relationship would never be exactly what it was. That innocence was gone. But maybe we could build something stronger in its place. The local news wanted to interview me. They were doing a story on elder financial abuse. I agreed, hoping my story might help someone else recognize the warning signs. The reporter asked, "What would you say to other elderly people who might be experiencing this kind of manipulation?" I looked directly at the camera. "Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let anyone tell you you're too old or too confused to know your own mind. Your dignity matters. Your autonomy matters. You matter. And there are people who will help you fight back. You're not alone." The story aired, and my phone didn't stop ringing for days. Elderly people calling to thank me, to tell me their own stories, to ask for advice. Some were in situations like mine. Others had already lost everything and just wanted someone to understand. I connected them with resources. with Bernard and other attorneys who specialized in elder abuse, with support groups, with adult protective services. One woman told me, "I thought I was going crazy. My daughter-in-law kept telling me I was forgetting things, but I wasn't. Thank you for showing me I'm not alone." That's when I realized this was bigger than just my story. This was an epidemic. Elderly people being targeted by the people closest to them. Family members who saw inheritance as something to grab early rather than wait for. I started speaking at senior centers, sharing my story, teaching people the warning signs, helping them protect themselves. And slowly, over time, I healed. The anger faded. The fear loosened its grip. I reclaimed my house, my life, my peace. I still live in my house. Tyler visits regularly. Preston comes out from Arizona twice a year. Margaret and I have dinner every Sunday. My house feels like mine again. I painted the walls new colors, bought new furniture to replace what Jessica had brought in, made it a home again instead of a battlefield. One evening, I sat in my living room with a cup of tea, looking at the family photos on my mantel, photos of my late husband, my sons as children, better times. But there were new photos too. Pictures from the support group, a photo of me and Margaret at the lake, a picture of Garrett and his new wife, who he'd met after leaving Jessica. Pictures of a life rebuilt. I had survived. More than that, I had fought back and won. And I would never take my independence for granted again. 2 years after Jessica's conviction, I received a letter. It was from a woman named Carol in Oregon. She wrote that she had seen my interview on television and recognized what was happening in her own life. Her son-in-law had been slowly taking control of her finances, redirecting her mail, creating stories about her declining memory. Because of my story, she recognized the pattern early. She fought back. She kept her home and her savings. She thanked me for giving her the courage to stand up. I keep that letter on my refrigerator. It reminds me why I went through all of this. Not just to save myself, but to light a path for others. Tyler and I have rebuilt our relationship, though it looks different now. We have boundaries. Clear, firm boundaries. He understands that trust, once broken, must be earned back slowly. He goes to therapy every week. He's learning to recognize manipulation, to trust his instincts instead of suppressing them to keep the peace. Last Thanksgiving, he brought a new girlfriend to dinner. Her name is Amanda, and she's a school teacher. She was kind to me, but not overly familiar. She didn't try to ingratiate herself. She didn't offer to help with my bills or organize my life. She treated me like a capable adult. After dinner, Tyler pulled me aside. "What do you think of her?" "I think she seems genuine." "But Tyler, you need to be careful. You need to watch for red flags." "I know. I'm being careful. My therapist has been helping me understand what happened with Jessica, how she targeted my vulnerabilities. I'm learning." "Good. Because I love you, son. But I won't let anyone hurt me like that again. Not even to preserve a relationship with you." He hugged me. "I don't want you to. If I ever stop listening to you again, if I ever choose someone over you when you're telling me something's wrong, you have my permission to knock some sense into me." I laughed. It felt good to laugh with my son again. Preston visits more often now. He and his wife are talking about moving back east. He wants his kids to grow up knowing their grandmother. He says he wants them to learn from my strength. "You're kind of a badass, Mom," he told me on his last visit, taking on a con artist and winning. "My friends are impressed." "I'm not a badass. I'm just someone who refused to give up. That's what a badass is." The support group still meets every week. Dorothy, Ruth, Linda, and I have become close friends. We've added new members over the years. People who have survived financial abuse, manipulation, and exploitation by family members. People who are learning to rebuild their lives. We celebrate victories together. When Ruth's granddaughter apologized for trying to pressure her into selling her home. When Linda successfully sued her nephew for stealing from her. When Dorothy's son finally understood the manipulation his wife had been doing and divorced her. We hold each other up. We remind each other that we're worthy of respect, autonomy, and dignity. Last month, I got a call from the district attorney's office. Jessica's sentence was up for review. They wanted to know if I wanted to provide a victim impact statement. I thought about it for a long time. Part of me wanted to face her again, to tell her what she took from me, the fear, the doubt, the sleepless nights. The betrayal of watching my own son choose her lies over my truth. But another part of me realized that would give her power over me again. She didn't deserve any more of my time or energy. I wrote a letter instead. I didn't address it to Jessica. I addressed it to the parole board. I wrote about the pattern of her crimes, about the 7 other victims whose lives she destroyed, about the people who died under the stress of her manipulation. I wrote that she should serve every day of her sentence because she had shown no remorse, no understanding of the harm she caused. The parole board denied her early release. On the 2-year anniversary of the trial verdict, I did something I'd been thinking about for months. I sold my house, not because I had to, not because anyone pressured me, but because I wanted to. The house held too many painful memories now. Jessica's presence lingered in the corners. The battles we'd fought echoed in the walls. I had reclaimed it, but I couldn't fully heal while living there. I bought a smaller place, a cottage near Margaret, just a few miles from the lake. It has 2 bedrooms, a sunny kitchen, and a garden where I grow tomatoes and herbs. It's mine, completely mine. No one has ever tried to take it from me. Tyler helped me move. We carried boxes together, and he stopped in the empty living room of the old house. "This is where I grew up," he said quietly. "I know, but sometimes we have to let go of the past to move forward." "Are you angry about what Jessica did to this place?" I was. For a long time, I was furious. But anger is exhausting. I chose to let it go, not for her, for me. On my first night in the new cottage, I sat on my porch watching the sunset over the lake. Margaret brought over a bottle of wine, and we toasted to new beginnings. "You did it," she said. "You survived. You fought back. You won. We did it. I couldn't have done it without you. That's what family is for, real family, not the kind that steals from you." I laughed. Truth. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sky turn pink and gold. Looking back, I can see the warning signs I missed early on. Jessica's excessive helpfulness, her boundary violations disguised as concern, the way she slowly isolated me from my own life decisions. The gaslighting that made me question my own memory and competence. If I could go back, I would have acted sooner. I would have trusted my instincts the first time something felt wrong. I would have set firmer boundaries. I would have asked for help earlier. But I can't go back. I can only move forward and help others recognize what I didn't see until it was almost too late. The biggest lesson I learned is this: your dignity is non-negotiable. Your right to autonomy doesn't disappear because you're older. Being elderly doesn't mean being helpless or incompetent. It means being experienced, wise, and deserving of respect. No one has the right to take your life away from you, not even family, especially not family. If someone is making you feel confused about your own capabilities, if they're taking control of your finances without your explicit consent, if they're isolating you from friends and family, if they're creating a narrative that you're declining when you know you're not, trust yourself. You're not being paranoid. You're being targeted. And you can fight back. You should fight back. I spent 63 years building my life. I wasn't going to let anyone take it without a fight. And when I did fight, I discovered I was stronger than I ever knew. That's the message I want to leave with anyone hearing this story. You're stronger than you think. You're sharper than they want you to believe. You're worthy of dignity, respect, and autonomy at any age. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. My life now is peaceful. I wake up in my cottage, make coffee, and sit in my garden. I visit with my friends. I spend time with my sons, who have learned what real respect looks like. I volunteer at the senior center, teaching classes on financial literacy and recognizing elder abuse. I drive my silver Honda Accord, the one that started this whole nightmare. Every time I get behind the wheel, I remember that moment when I came home and it was gone. When Jessica smiled at me and said she'd sold it. When I told her there was now room to kick her out. I smile every time I remember her face freezing, because in that moment, she realized I wasn't going to be an easy victim. She had picked the wrong woman to target. And I was right. There was room in that garage once I kicked her out of my life. The house is gone now, sold to a young family with children. But I have something better. I have my freedom, my independence, my peace, and that's worth more than any house could ever be. So here's my question for anyone listening to this story. Have you ever felt like someone was trying to control your life? Have you ever had that instinct that something was wrong, even when everyone told you it was fine? What did you do about it? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else recognize what's happening to them. And if this story resonated with you, if it helped you understand something about your own life, or gave you courage to fight back against someone trying to control you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories like this. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. You never know whose life you might save by spreading awareness about elder abuse. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for letting me share what I went through and what I learned. I hope it helps someone out there who's going through something similar. You're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not too old to fight for yourself. And remember, your life is yours. No one gets to take it from you. Stay strong. Trust yourself. And never, ever let anyone make you feel like you don't matter. May you all live with dignity, independence, and peace. That's my wish for you. That's my wish for everyone. Thank you, and take care of yourselves.